What's up, guys? James from Mahogany House Woodworks coming at you again. Working on a walnut end grain butcher block. This one's a particularly fun one. The client wanted to get something really special for his wife, so I wanted to break this build down for you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Okay, so this is this was a 40-inch long piece of a walnut board that a few different species or a few different sections that we glued together. And you can see we put the boards together for a variety of, we're going after this diamond pattern. You can see that really shows up on the top part of this wood. So anyways, we mark every single piece, 17, 18, 19. Got a whole stack here of these 2-inch sections that we cut off, which basically looks like this. We run it through this is called an offcut sled or table saw sled, and it works really great to be able to do this. You can move your piece back and forth. You can set any repeatable cuts that you need. Okay, so here we are coming to the assembly table, and I like to lay them all out so I kind of have an idea of the next part, which is really second to oiling. If you build cutting boards or you've done woodworking before, second to oiling up and finishing your piece is this section right here. This stripe or sap wood. This is the outer edge of the tree. You can see we obviously cut this up into a variety of patterns in order to get this sapwood into the middle. We'll show you why in just a minute. Second part, what I've done is I have flipped all of these pieces of wood on end, hence the name, end grain. You can see my mark on each one, and all I've done is I've just flipped them up here so I have an idea of where all these patterns are gonna be at. Now I need to end up with a 20-inch board. These are about 16 inches long. This is gonna be a 14 by 20. I always cut them a little bit longer so I have some artistic freedom. And I've got about 5 extra of these strips down here. And there's a couple reasons why, but mostly, if I ever end up, it's rare, but if I ever do end up with a piece that has a knot that comes through, I can swap that piece out. Obviously, you want to work with wood that is clean and clear. That ends up costing a bit more money up front, but it ends up for a really great board because you can see this diamond pattern is very specific, and if you have to pull one of these pieces out, it certainly shows up. Okay, so here's one pattern. You can see this diamond that is starting to show through. On the reverse side, you can see this. I've not rotated these at all. So now the next step is going to be to take a section, rotate these through, and the reason for that, you'll see here in just a minute. Really makes it for a super fun and unique, and as you can already start to tell, this is the fun part about an end grain cutting board, is that the variations are literally endless. And so part of what you want to do, you can see through here, this is fine. There's a few things. That line is very difficult to maintain straight all the way through, and so that can show up at the end, which is not fun. And then also, the other part is that when you end up with something like this, you have a much more fun and artistic variation. Right, so there we go. That's about the finished dimension, other than I'll need to trim it up on this side, trim it up on this side. And you can see I've got some really fun patterns alternating. I got this diamond thing. Quite a bit of fun stuff going on here. I'm gonna quickly lay this out in a completely different pattern and show you guys what that looks like. So here we go. This is a completely different pattern. I got the same two together, but I was maintaining this diamond pattern, which is now rotated every other section. Obviously, this is mostly a preference in terms of how this looks, but this is probably one of the most rewarding parts of the build, is really coming up with a style that is going to just be really balanced well. And in the end, I think I am deciding to go with alternating every other one. This tends to make it feel like a more elegant board. If you noticed when they were two together and they were rotated, the board just felt too clunky or choppy, would be the way I would put it. So this We've got a lot happening here, which is just really fun to work with. This is the benefit of working with a custom woodworker when you're picking out a cutting board, is you can really customize the type of wood. And this particular client wanted something that had a lot of diamond patterning. He saw some of the boards on our website, and that was something that he was particularly drawn to. Here we are, everything is glued up, and now we'll wait for everything to dry. You notice that this is wet. One of the processes that I do is I just apply a little bit of extra moisture to the top part as I'm going before I apply pressure on my clamps. And what I find, or what I found in the past before I started doing this, was that the glue joint was just starved. We did a couple tests on some different species of wood. We just found that adding moisture to this part allows the glue to stay cured in that joint that it's in, instead of trying to get drawn into the wood. This wood's like a sponge, and so it's going to soak up any moisture that it can get to. There's obviously a lot of moisture in this glue. So one of the other things that we use, this is a waterproof and is safe for up to 150 degrees. So this is probably one of our best glues that we have found. There's a few different types of glues we use based on the specific application for the cutting board itself. But there you've got it. This will be fun to see on another video. That's a bit on the process of how we build our cutting boards.